So on today's video, this video is going to be a recap of the recent full moon in Sagittarius that happened on May 23rd and 24th, and today is May 28th. So I wanted to get to this video to you guys sooner just because the topics of the video is important, and it's important to hear while the transit is still happening, just because, again, it's important. So without further ado, I'm going to start talking about the transits and just my writings on this transit in particular, which is the full moon in Sag that is happening at 2 degrees Sagittarius. And the second degree is a Taurus degree. So it is during Gemini season specifically, but we still will be feeling the elements of Taurus during this transit. So I'm just going to pull up my notes. And I really wanted to do this video as like an edited video. And the problem, I don't want to say the problem, but the challenge is I do have a small child and I work with very, very limited time as a stay-at-home mom. So sometimes the best way to get these videos out is being able to just hop on live. And sometimes I'm able to sit down, record the video, and edit it. So take what you can get because I'm doing my best. So this full moon is in Sagittarius, and I always write like a full moon mantra or theme that helps kind of encompass the energy I feel like I'm experiencing through the transit. So I put full steam ahead because this is about taking action. Sagittarius is the centaur, that is the mystical figure that's connected to the zodiac sign, and the centaur is half man, half horse, and it's all about being able to merge both the the wisdom and the logical nature of man, but also the primal nature of the animal spirit, and being able to also do things that are just simply for our joy. And next is, I also put the mantra of Hydra. So Hydra is a constellation in the sky at this time. And if you use your night sky app, you'll be able to look up and see the Hydra constellation, which is a water snake. So the Greek mythology that goes along with Hydra is a multi-headed serpent. And when you cut off one head, it grows back. So it's also known to regenerate and be immortal. We also see the same Hydra as a freshwater protozoan, and freshwater animals have always been fascinating, but Hydra in particular is a microscopic freshwater species, and it also shows that it doesn't age. So biologists have seen that Hydra does not age, and it also can regenerate itself, similar to the water serpent that is depicted in the Greek mythology of Hercules. So this constellation also connects to those themes, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on that. But before we hop into that, I am going to simply cover through my notes, because I've written these notes out around the time and right before the transit, of what's happening. So number one, so this is also the luckiest new moon of the year. Oh, sorry, the luckiest full moon of the year. So the great thing is Sagittarius energy represents luck and abundance because Sag is ruled by Jupiter. So we do get the benefits of that. But also the reason why I felt so impelled to make this video so soon is because with this Hydra constellation in the sky, and also with the awareness of what is just happening in the world, I felt like these themes were showing up, not just for the luck and abundance that you can receive for it, but also some of the things that you can come into that can create other Jupiterian themes like loss and major loss and destruction. So here are some of the overall themes for the full moon in Sagittarius transit that is happening. Contemplation, we have gate 20 that recently transited. Luck, because that's Sagittarius. Mindset, because we are thinking about how our perspectives create the environment and the field that we see. Surrender, breathwork. Gate 20 is all about tapping into our sacred breath and being present. Trust, omnipresence. I wrote trust twice, so trust again. Nature, vitality, and freshness. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining. So these are just some of the themes of Sag. So I'm going to read you guys what I wrote for the full moon transit, what gives a little bit about the Hydra, but then also when I post this video, I'm going to link the information I found on the Hydra constellation so you guys can do a deeper dive. So here's what I wrote for the full moon in Sagittarius. I checked the night sky app and the constellation Hydra sat prominently in the sky right before this transit, and it's actually been there as of recently. I think I checked it like a day ago. Hydra is the water snake that was killed by Hercules in Greek mythology, and it is also a genus of small freshwater hydrozoans of the phylum Cnidaria. Just like the water snake Hercules slayed with multiple heads, Hydra is believed to be immortal as it doesn't appear to die of old age at all and has regenerative properties. The Hydra constellation is also linked to drowning, poisoning, asphyxiation, and violence against women. Please be aware of your surroundings at this time and remember, just like Hercules, even what seems like cannot be defeated. Well, let me read that again. Let me read it how I wrote it. Please be especially aware of your surroundings at this time and remember, just like Hercules, you can defeat even what seems impossible. Yes, Indy. Why are you here when Daddy has snacks for you? Okay, you can sit with me, but you just gotta sit and eat your snacks. No boobies. Here, you got hiccups. So the reason why I'm sharing that information is because as a woman living in Los Angeles, I've had some recent experiences that have shown me that, like, the constellation that we're seeing. Okay, I'm gonna be half on camera, half off camera. How about that? So the reason why I wanted to share this information is because I have been seeing an uptick in crime in this area, as well as aggression towards women. And with that happening along with this constellation, I feel like it is no surprise that we are experiencing this, but also with the transits, we're able to know how we can move forward and what to be aware of. Because one thing I will say that's been a positive of this transit is I've been spending a lot more time at home and I haven't been running around on the street as much doing errands and stuff. And part of being able to be more grounded is being able to create more abundance for myself and my family, because I don't necessarily feel the pressure to have to go outside every day. But also, it sucks. No one has to feel like they have to be inside the house or stuck in one area because the world isn't safe. But with this transit happening, with this constellation being in the sky, and then me actually going through life experiences that have shown that this to be true, because I'm not just speaking from just the constellation. Energetically, I was experiencing a lot of like I felt unsafe. I felt like my environment was not safe. And then I naturally love looking at the night sky app. I'd like taking walks. I realized that I couldn't do that anymore. In my neighborhood in particular, I've been approached twice, or have had men say things to me twice that show that they're either traffickers or someone that's looking to rob and be a part of crime. So with that, I knew that this video was really, really important to get out despite my circumstances. Indy, why do you want to do this right at this moment? I noticed that anytime I'm on camera talking, you just think that it's time to do this. Okay, so I might be off camera for parts of this, guys, but know that I'm here still talking, so please still listen. I'm just trying to make sure I'm covered. So with that, yes, just be aware. And just like the Hydra, the water serpent, it relates to these very doomy, like doomsday-ish, morbid topics of drowning, asphyxiation, poisoning. But if I was a woman and I knew that this transit was happening, I'd be like, okay, so I'll be mindful of my drinks and what I'm drinking, what I'm consuming, and where I'm going. I would also be mindful of water within my environment, and like if the water is contained, if I'm gonna go swimming, just be mindful of all those things at this time. And also, this transit is definitely linked to violence against women. I've also looked up some celebrities who have this constellation in their chart. Hydra has like 3 or 5 main stars within them. So I looked at other celebrities that have this transit, and they have had either issues with drugs or issues with violence or issues with literally water. So I figured I'm seeing this correlation, and this is my way of being able to document the correlations I see for future generations. So putting that out there. Now I'm going to read for you guys what I saw about the main star within the Hydra constellation, and it is called Alfred Star. And the Alfred Star is at the neck of the constellation, and this star is at 27 degrees and 17 seconds of Leo, and has an orb of 2 degrees. So I also saw the correlation with the orb being 2 degrees and the full moon being in 2 degrees. So here's just what it says. It says Alpha Hydrae is single star in the neck of the water snake Hydra constellation. It's also called the solitary one in the snake, the heart of the snake. And this could also be that maybe you are the light within the darkness in your environment. So think about it like that. Maybe the things that you're creating, if you're someone going through what I'm going through, a YouTube creator journey or the journey of being a mom, you might be experiencing like what it feels like to be in a place that feels very dark, but you know that the things that you're doing is hope and hopes to be a light, right? But it also says, let's see, Ptolemy states that it is of the nature of Saturn and Venus, the heart, the star, but according to Alvidas, it is similar to the sun and Jupiter in sextile. So it gives wisdom, musical and artistic appreciation, knowledge of human nature, strong passions, lack of self-control, immorality, excuse me, immorality, revolting deeds, and a sudden death by drowning, poison, or asphyxiation. So again, with this transit, it does come with a lot of good musical and artistic appreciation. You could be growing in your creativity, in your knowledge of the world, and coming to greater awareness, as I feel like I have in the past few weeks now that I've been dealing with other people's lack of self-control and immorality. But yeah, it also says that it gives into its natives, so people who have this in their chart, it gives its natives troubles, anxiety, losses, intemperance, so you can lose balance, revolting deeds, acting out of right action, turbulence, strong passion, self-control, lack of self-control, suffering, and self-destruction. The star, when it's conjunct with a nativity, and the nativity is also in conjunct with Regulus, dilutes the influence to a large degree. Now let's see. Yes, so it says particularly matters connected with poison are associated or accentuated badly. Example, blood poisoning, murder by poison, attempts of poisoning, poisoned hatred in women, which was what I've been physically experiencing, gas poisoning, danger to life by use of drugs or of overindulgence of good living, smoke inhalation and dangers of suffocation, snake bites, bites by poisonous insect bites, or bites from dogs with rabies. And literally, at the time of this transit, me and my partner were talking about getting our dog vaccinated because he's due for his rabies shot. So again, these transits don't have to be to the extreme. Sometimes you can feel the energy of it through day-to-day life. For example, my dog needing to get his rabies shot. So it says the danger is marked if either Sun, Moon, Mars, Neptune, Ascendant, or MC are linked up with this star. And for me, I think I had my 5th house there. A poisoning is also possible in a relationship between a man and a woman in marriage. This is especially true in the male chart. On a material plane, nearly always unhelpful, though if the native is able to conceive it in the spiritual sphere, the Saturn-Neptune combination may give enlightenment. So for me, my personal enlightenment was just like my intentionality with when I go outside. So before I was taking my smoke breaks outside, I live in a non-smoking building. So naturally, I'm going to go outside and take my walks. But what I had to realize is that when people see you only doing one activity when you go outside, they assume that's all you do. And they also kind of mark you as someone who's worth harming or worth taking advantage of. And that is unfortunate because there's so many benefits with using cannabis, having cannabis. But unfortunately, I had to realize that it's not something I want to be doing out in public, especially when I feel like my environment isn't safe. So if you're someone who enjoys certain vices like drinking, smoking, etc., I do think they have a place and a time. Just be mindful of that place and time you choose to enjoy it. And also be mindful of the transits. So the transits is like our energetic wind, right? It's showing us the direction life and the world is moving to. And if we're able to say, okay, I like this activity, but maybe now's not a good time to do it, we can keep ourselves safe. All right, so now let's go into, excuse me. I'm also, since I can't be outside, I'm inside enjoying my wine with y'all. In my Trader Joe's corn chili glass because I'm a sustainable mommy. Not her leaving her AJ. We call it AJ because if we say apple juice, she'll turn up, but her apple juice here. All right, so let's see. So I'm going to read a little more about Hydra and then move on to the human design part as well as the self-care and writing prompts because this is heavy information, but I knew that I couldn't wait to share this video. I've already waited long enough because the full moon passed, but I do want women to be aware that the world is just not what it was and we do have to be diligent, men and women both. But specifically, I know that most of my audience is women, so I'm speaking to you guys of just being safe, being aware of your environment. So here are some other benefits. I'm just going to read the ascendant. So if your ascendant is in Leo and it's conjunct this star, you can have much trouble, anxiety, and loss in connection with estates and building, addicted to women, and intemperance. So this could also be an addiction to women. Basically just levels of imbalance because this star and this constellation represents extremes. A splendid and illustrious life, glorious, mighty, and commanding nature, fame, busy with activities, bountiful resources, well known or feared in cities and regions. It also can bring prosperity from youth and its own city. It also can bring, I feel like, a long life, like long career, because again, the water snake is regenerative. It says they have harsh words towards the pleasures of life and with the passing of age participate in some priestly office. So sometimes you can see someone go, hey, you can see someone go from extremes of like being wild when they were younger and then all of a sudden becoming like a priest. It says they also might refuse certain things like red food, but then also be experts in the occult. They become lovers of the sciences and skies, and their eyes are somewhat glaucous and glittering, and their appearance is beautiful. So some people who have that particular placement, and this will actually be great sometimes to hear of celebrities that have this placement, because then you have archetypes that you can put in connection to the placement. So that particular placement ascended on the Alfred star, Ted Bundy, George H.W. Bush, Martin Scorsese, Edgar Cayce, Henry Matisse, the painter, O.J. Simpson, like he killed a lady, like Nancy Pelosi. So just to give you an idea, Jim Carrey has it on his midheaven. Lana Del Rey has it on her midheaven. So does Sigmund Freud, Clint Eastwood. Let's see who else. Khloe Kardashian has it in her descendant. And Emmett Till had it in his descendant. And we know that Emmett Till died by asphyxiation and drowning. And also just being brutalized by people acting in an immoral way. Audrey Hepburn had this at 2 degrees. So yeah, you see that there is a correlation between the planets and the stars and literally the way people's lives pan out. So enough about that. I am going to link the links I found. There's another link I have in relation to it if you guys watch this video and want to read more about it and go on a deep dive. But yeah, it's just a time to be mindful of your surroundings and what you're doing and why. So now let's move into, I'm always in my phone. I'm always in my phone. Now let's move into the human design gate. So gate 20 in human design is the gate of contemplation, and it's actually called Quan in the I Ching. I say I Ching, very Americanized. I Ching. It's called Quan in the I Ching, and we know that the Kuan Yin was the goddess who left Earth and actually came back all because she saw all the suffering, and it was her compassion that brought her back down to help the Earth. We can also relate the Kuan Yin to the masculine archetype Jesus, of someone who saw the suffering, was a perfect person, but chose to come back and help the Earth. So with this gate transiting, the gate of presence, it's really all about tapping into our breath and what connects us to other humans. So here's what I wrote on my IG post for Human Design Gate 20 on this transit. The power of the present moment shows itself this month as it transits alongside its programming partner, Gate 34, the Gate of Power, the Taming of the Great. When we can tame our nervous system and release our permanent nature of living existential lives, we can become aware of all life. And a lot of times when you see people committing crimes and just doing bad things, a lot of that is desperation because the system is not set up for everyone to win. But also a lot of that has to do with people living in their lower chakras and choosing to operate in greed, the energy of sex, the energy of just seeing life as a day-to-day thing and not thinking of the long term. So here I wrote, this deep awareness in the now is reflected by the sacred Om, which connects all life through the breath. Practice being in breath resonance this month and trust the process of life itself. We are meant to live in more than our lower chakras. So sometimes when we are in situations, especially that want to have power over us, it's really important that we are able to tap into our breath and that we are able to be in a state of non-reaction. I actually just watched a TikTok about using the term sober, and it's, damn, I wish I remembered what it means, but the acronym basically relates to taking time to sit, observe. Okay, it's coming back to me. It's to sit, observe, breathe. What's the E? I forgot what the E is, and then react. But basically, it's kind of like a process of teaching yourself how to regulate your nervous system before reacting to the environment. So now let's talk about human design, gate 34, which is the gate of power. So I wrote, this month, consider what you're giving your energy to, just like I had to consider. I'm giving my energy to walking errands, going outside. But am I feeling safe? Is it worth my energy? Every decision we make in our life requires our vital and precious life force to act on it. Are your decisions causing more entropy in your life? Or not or rather, when we force seasons of life past their time, they can create more chaos and in effect defeat the purpose of our activity. So a big reason why I was even taking walks to go on smoke breaks was to calm my nervous system. But what I started to see was I was no longer calming my nervous system because the environment I had to go out in was very dysregulating to my nervous system. And now I don't feel safe smoking outside because I've seen that the world is just unsafe. I don't want to put fear into anyone, but I had to like literally see the signs and say, this isn't actually making me feel good, and it's causing more entropy, because there were points where I felt like I needed to smoke more to get over the experience I had outside. And if you have to do that, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So I wrote, when we force seasons of life past their time, then they can create more chaos and in effect defeat the purpose of the activity. The city of this gate, majesty, is the alchemy of grace, vitality, and presence. A powerful person will never have to gloat about how great they are. It resonates or radiates through their whole being. So a big part of being able to be gracious and having your energy and being able to be in the present moment has to do with our nervous system being regulated and being able to feel safe. And when neither of those things are available to you, then you need to be sitting in the house and meditating. And then, or at least being in an environment where you feel safe, and then you can go back out into the world. All right, so with all that heavy conversation, let's go into the writing prompts for this transit. So I wrote 4 writing prompts. If you have a journal, I know there's a few of you here. Thank you so much for joining. Feel free to journal these thoughts out or just contemplate on them throughout your day over the next 2 weeks before the next transit of the new moon. So here I wrote, am I dealing with my past trauma? Because sometimes when we don't deal with our past trauma, it creates more entropy in our lives because we're distracting ourselves or doing other things to fill that void because we're trying to ignore what we really need to deal with. And with Sag being a planet, a zodiac sign that is related to philosophy and wisdom and thinking, now's a great time to think about those things. How can I expand on on my awareness, and how can I release the things that are not serving me? Next is, how can I become immortal? Because I said that the Hydra was a main theme. The Hydra constellation is in the sky and it's all about regeneration. So part of immortality is being able to transmute the darkness, transmute the things that don't make us feel good into positive things. For me in particular, the few instances I had recently, one was seeing an attempted carjacking, armed carjacking at that. I had to figure out I cannot change the world by being scared and being at home, but what can I do to transmute the energy of fear that I'm feeling from what I've experienced and seen? So one thing I did was I made a TikTok about it. I was like, hey guys, this is what I'm experiencing and seeing in Hollywood. This doesn't make me feel good. And then the next thing I did was I looked into the planets because I'm already interested in astrology. So I looked into what already brought me enthusiasm and joy, and that was able to help me transmute these dark feelings of fear, lack, not feeling secure. Next is, what does aging mean to me? Because I know that, one, I'm now like 33, I'm at my Jesus year. So in my 20s, it was like, oh, dread being 30, dread being 40, dread being 50. But now I'm able to see the wisdom of aging and that I'm actually growing in awareness. And of course, with all the technology and things we have, low key, we're regenerating. Have you seen those facelifts that they be doing in Turkey? People are like winding back the clock 30, 40 years on their face. So we are going into a new era of technology, of being able to use the tools that we have and the awareness that we have to age gracefully. And also, we also have the food and nutrition, because of course, before we go into, yes, before we go into like doing things that are harmful, like, or things that have possible consequences like surgery, we can look into natural ways of aging. I really love working with sea minerals, and if you guys see, I have a sea moss shop. So I actually make sea moss gel for my home and I ship it out to people. Sea moss is an algae that has 92 of 102 minerals the body needs, and it's great for boosting your immune system, bringing your body into homeostasis, which is so important for regulating yourself. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. This was not meant to be a sea moss thing, but we're talking about freshwater creatures, Hydra, and we're talking about what we can do to build our immunity and live long. So yes. And if you guys have any questions, I would love for you to share them. People are passing through and saying hi, and I love that. But I also go on live to interact with people. So yes, tell me what you feel. Ooh, my leg is going dead. Next is, what is my optimal environment for life? So in order to live long, your environment must be optimal for you, not for anybody else, but for you. If you like hot weather and you live in a cold environment, chances are you are not going to have the best quality of life. I grew up in New York City and I hated every winter because it was so cold. And I kept telling my mom, the moment I get to live somewhere warm, I will. And she just couldn't wrap her head around why I couldn't stay in New York. Because for her, she wanted to be near her kids. But for me, I knew that if I wanted to live long, I could not live in New York City. Nothing about New York City life was helping me live long. Being on commuter trains, dealing with people who were manic or unwell, living in an environment that was high consumerism, low quality of life, that wasn't going to work for me. So I moved to a warmer climate. And best believe, since I moved to a warmer climate, I started thriving. Also, I moved to a place with mountains, and I am a human design mountain environment. And especially when you're above the age of 30, it is like detrimental if you are not living in your human design environment, because it really will impact your life and your longevity. So being a mountain environment, I do well in places that are shallow and in terms of air, not in terms of people, but in terms of air quality, as well as places that are um, where I can observe things, where I feel like I have a bird's eye view and I can see everything around me. And one thing I did notice is when I was in an environment that I felt unsafe as of recent, it was because I didn't feel like I had a full vantage point of my environment. I felt like I realized people were able to like pass me really quickly or come up to me, and that was very unnerving for me because I didn't feel safe. So think about that. Some other human design environments are markets, kitchen environment, shores environment, valleys environment, mountain. I feel like I'm forgetting one more, but there's 6 environments. So think about which environment, or even go look up your human design environment. And that is the first point of my self-care. So of my self-care prompts for the full moon in Sag, I wrote study your human design environment. If you want to be like Hydra, if you want to live really long and have a great quality of life, you need to know what the best area for you to be is. You also can go on, and maybe I'll remember to add this in the description, but you want to be able to go on, I think it's called Astro, but it's basically a website, or AstroSeek, where you can see where your Jupiter line is, or just any of your planetary lines, where it relates to where you live. And you can see like what areas or what countries are really going to be good for you based on your astrology and natal chart. Next is eat freshwater foods. I've been craving fresh. Oh, my ring light died. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to just put on the lights here and finish this up. Ooh. And just like that, we back. So I have been eating freshwater foods, and it's been, well, I don't know if it's freshwater. I've actually been eating seafood, which is saltwater. But the point is, eat foods that are of the water. So I've been eating crab legs. I love kicking crab in Los Angeles. The food there is superb. But eating marine foods, or foods of the sea, can be very beneficial for getting the nutrients that you need. And I know that we all have different dietary needs, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm not here to be your nutritionist or your dietitian. I'm just here to share some things that you can do during this transit. So next is work with a new instrument, and the instrument that you could work with can be even as simple as using your voice. If I am correct, gate 20 is of the throat center, and this is being able to respond and act within the now, and it's also about your individual knowing, and it's a very powerful gate because it actually connects to 3 channels. So with that, use this opportunity to connect with your throat, also connect with other instruments that can help you just be in a state of joy. At the moment of making this video, Gate 16 in human design is transiting, and Gate 16 is the gate of enthusiasm and just pure sheer talent that comes without validation. So tap into that and focus on being present with yourself, tapping into your hobbies, and then in doing so, you will garner the validation and all the things that you desire moving forward. Next is plan a week to stay indoors. As I've mentioned with Hydra, the constellation, and just with other planetary transits, always look at the transits to see when is the best time to do what. Because all because you know what to do doesn't mean that you should do it all the time, because we also are affected by the universe. We're affected by the planets, the transits, other people. So there's going to be a time and place for everything. And last is create a prayer time and space, because I feel like with all that's going on in the world, especially what we are seeing with the genocides happening throughout the world, including Palestine, the Congo, Sudan, it's really, really important to tap into our throat center, use our voice, speak of the things we want. And if you don't know what to say and you don't post, that's okay, but set an intention for the world to be better. It could be through private prayers, it can be through meditation. It is very powerful to take time to meditate on behalf of other people and just wish best for the world. And I'm going to leave you with this mantra called Ho'oponopono. So Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian proverb that is basically an encapsulation of 4 major phrases in English language and in any language. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. If you never know what to say and you are in an uncompromising situation, or you feel hopeless, or you feel like the world is just a horrible place, you could just chant Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono. I have seen myself do this in real time when I'm around someone whose energy is kind of chaotic or manic. And sometimes I feel like just sending that energy of, I don't know what happened to you, but know that I want the best for you. It changes the auric field. It changes them. Or they just at least tone it down. They stop being manic and they start just like relaxing, or they move away. But I think that if we understand the beauty of the energetic field and know that we can tap into that to create change from a spiritual place and in the etheric body, that change can be in the astral as well. And the last thing I wanted to say is I really would love to hear your guys' feedback on what you want me to talk about. So as you guys may see, I have over 900 videos. You're so welcome. I like your name, Badass94. So what I've seen is that I've created a lot of content, and it's not necessarily being pushed on the algorithm, but I know that the content I'm creating is not necessarily drama filled. I'm talking about transits, I'm talking about things that are on a deeper level. And with that, I do need people to see it. I do want them to see it. I do want people to change. And I want the change to happen at a heart level. And part of that is being able to give the people who need this information of the I Ching, of universal law, of nature, this information in a way that they can digest, which is why I choose to be, thank you. I choose to be relatable. I choose to be able to talk about all, trending topics. I know the value in that. We live in a world with other people, so we can't act like pop culture topics don't exist. But I also want to be able to reach a wider audience with these wisdoms. I'm just a transmission and a channel for this information, especially because, where's the book? A book like the Kuan Yin, Book of Changes, this is ancient text. And even this version of the book, this was written in the 80s by a woman who saw the need, Diane Stein. She saw the need to bring the feminine and the matriarchy back onto the physical plane, because even the I Ching was still written in a masculine form. And a lot of these books, the I Ching, the Bible, a lot of sacred texts were written or commissioned to be written by men, by kings. So they are going to reflect that. So when we have a book like this written by a woman about women and about the matriarchy, but also still the I Ching, it's still the I Ching, it's still the information, it's going to be a synthesis of how do we see both the patriarchy, the matriarchy, and then create this synthesis and this synarchy for the world. Turn up, baby. I'm almost done. Do you want your apple juice? Hooray, wow. Okay, guys. Yeah, so if you have any suggestions, thank you for your suggestion, Badass. Just continue. I am a self-projector, so naturally we kind of know what we need to say or want to say, but I want to hear you guys' input. And yeah, that's it. So know that these next 2 weeks, luck is on your side. Move full steam ahead. Prioritize where you go and why you're going there. If you don't need to go somewhere, now is not the time to go. You can order Uber Eats, but know they might leave something out your order. The customer service kind of went down as well because a lot of businesses are struggling to keep their doors open. So now might be a good time to also practice cooking and just practice more like homesteading and like eating foods that you create. Watch some Nara Smith and see what peaceful living looks like. I think the world is moving that direction. We're tired of seeing people with exorbitant amounts of wealth and then people suffering and dying and being beheaded on the other end of the scale. So I think the middle path is really about understanding our unity and our equality as humans. And whenever we have these extremes, we move further and further from the middle path. So I said a lot. I've been rambling because I knew that I had a lot to say and it's already 40 minutes and I've been talking fast. So if you like this video, I would love for you to comment, share, subscribe, all the things. And if you don't, then that's fine too. But just don't leave no hate comments because that's not nice. And those come back to you. Karma big time. All right? So yes, remember life is about entropy. So whatever you create, you can create more of. So if you write a mean comment on someone's page, it begets more negative energy towards you. So if you don't want that, then don't do that. Thank you. All right, peace, guys. I love you. And I do still have the new moon in Taurus video. I don't really have much time tonight. I need to take care of my kid and cook and all those things. Well, put out dinner. It's already made. But yeah, I got to do all that. So I'll probably get the new moon in Taurus video, which was from the previous 2 weeks. I think that was around May 8th. I will put that out as soon as possible. But in the meantime, check out my Instagram. I have the graphics for these transits that have basically the information in graphic form. And these videos I get to expound. So I love you. And I'm really saying bye now.